How many of you like Neale Donald Walsch? Love. I remember when Conversations with God came out, and I thought that was a kind of weird book, but I loved it. So my talk today is inspired by a book of his that came out a few years ago, called The Only Thing That Matters. And that's what we're going to be talking about. The only thing that matters. And the only thing that matters is, well, let's do a refresher first. Okay, our refresher. So we're Unity folk. And, we had on our screen a little while ago the 5 principles of unity. And the first principle is that God is all things. God is all things. God, whatever you want to call it. If you want to call it divine mind, mother, father, God, grandfather, if you want to call it spirit, source, light with a capital L, love with a capital L, life with a capital L. Whatever you want to call that. Original substance, the infinite. It is all things. It's everything that's ever been. It's everything that we see here and now, and it's everything that's yet to be. It's all organic matter. It is the creation through a physical, non-organic matter, through inspiration and ideas. Okay, it's all things. And that means we too are expressions of this original substance, this source. Now there's a quality of God that is the impulse to continue expressing itself all the time through all of its creations. And that means us. Again, we are the creations. And so Source continues to create through us. And that might look in our life like creating a family, right? We bring something through us and out into the world. But it's not just physical recreation, it's also ideas and inspiration. We keep on creating, God creating through us, for us, as us, when we share our love and increase our friendship circle. Or when we keep, like for me, it can also look like being inspired to write more things, whether it's like information or songs, poetry, something to talk about on a Sunday. That's like something that comes through me, right? And that's how we're all creating in our life. There's something that comes through each of us. It's an idea or an inspiration. And so this is how God is expressing through us. It's how it continues to express through us. So it expands and expresses itself through all of our activities. When we are embodying love, compassion, kindness, courage, patience, when we're embodying these beliefs and behaviors in a world that may seem like full of difficulties, pain, trauma, in spite of those harsh circumstances, we can still manage to spread the love, compassion, peace, courage, goodness, understanding. That is divine activity working through us, and it's working for us as us. That's how it continues to experience itself through us. The universe also experiences itself through our brave actions. So if anyone in this room ever, like if you know you're a people pleaser, and one day you decided to say no when you meant no, instead of caving in and doing something you didn't want to do. You said no, even though somebody else got upset with you. Maybe they're used to you being a doormat for them, right? Used to you always being there, and they're never there for you. So finally, you stood up and you said something. You said no. Thanks, but no thanks. And you felt that empowerment right there. Even though it was scary to do that, you felt that little surge of power. That is divine activity at work in you. That is divine activity. If you decided to be authentic, be true, speak true words, right? Say, well, I didn't really like the bridges of Madison County so much, okay? Or maybe I'm not so much a cat person. Or maybe, these are my beliefs over here. And this is really what I want to be doing over here. When we can stand up and be authentic, even when it's scary, we feel that little surge of power. That is divine activity at work as us, for us, and through us. If you decided to create something in your life, even though someone else thought it was frivolous, even though someone else thought you'd just be wasting your time, but you decided, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway, even though you thought they might, have a lot to say to you about that. You felt that little surge of empowerment right here. That is divine activity at work through you, for you, as you. Okay? So Spirit is always at work through us, for us, and as us. It's always expanding itself by expressing itself in our lives. It's allowing our divine nature to expand. That's what that really is. Our divine nature is expanding. The opportunity to keep expanding our divine nature in this world, in our lives, that is the only thing that matters. That is the only thing that matters. What the one desires, what God desires, is expansion through all of its creations. That's us. It desires expression through all of its creations, and that's us. For you, for me, what that means is to be able to experience the highest expression of divinity while we're in a body. To be able to experience the highest expression of divinity in any possible moment. Whether those moments are hard moments or whether those moments are easy moments. To express the highest version of our divinity, that is the only thing that matters. And that's us making choices that honor our divine nature. That's what that is. Making choices that honor the divine nature in other people. The expression of our divinity is the activity of Spirit in our life. That is the only thing that matters. Now, sometimes this is easy enough to do, right? If you're walking down the street one day and you're flush, in your pocket you've got like a bunch of 20s and a 5, and maybe you see a homeless person. You're like, oh, well, I'm a really good person. I'm just going to give this person some money. That was easy, right? That was easy to do. But as we know, life has a lot of those hard moments too. Okay, a lot of those hard moments. We have our struggles. We have our struggles with health. We have our struggles with love and relationships. We have our struggles with financial prosperity. So we have our struggles too. Now, when we are living our purpose, right, the only thing that matters, that's our soul's purpose, what it does is it eases the suffering we may experience through the difficulties we might be experiencing around health and loving relationships and financial prosperity. Right? When we're living our soul's purpose, it helps us with that. It helps ease the struggle and helps us to become solution-oriented. So we find solutions to those things. So this is the only thing that matters because it makes life more joyous and beautiful for us. And we get to keep spreading that light, which that light then goes out to other people, as we know. Now, to be a soul and a body on this planet right now, it is the perfect time to be here. And I really say this, not just because we're here right now, but I believe this. Like, I remember some other decades, and you know, right now, there is this level of consciousness shifting. There are, like, I can remember back in 1995, like, I might see 11:11, like, on the clock, and I think that was really crazy. Like, I always see 11:11. But if I mentioned it to anybody else, they're like, what are you talking about? You're such a weirdo. And then, like, in 2000, another person would be like, oh, I see that all the time, too. Or I see 444. But now, it's like, have you seen 11:11? And do you think that's like trippy, right? You're seeing numbers. Our consciousness is changing. We're noticing things. We are noticing more things. Now, right now is the perfect time to be here. So you're not here by accident. None of us are here by accident. We're not on this planet right now by accident. We are not in this room together right now by accident. There is a plan. Our soul has an agenda. Our soul has an agenda to experience itself through us, through our divine activity, right? The expansion of our divine nature while we're in this human body. Isn't that interesting to think? We're actually here to remember our divinity, so we live it more. We're remembering something because the divine is what we are. We're just in a body. The divine is what we are, so it's something we need to remember. It's not something we have to learn. It's about remembering that. So this is the soul's purpose. This is its agenda. And it's the only thing that matters. Expressing itself in every area of your life. It's leading the way, but it's not forcing you to do anything. That's your choice. Okay, but the soul is always giving you hints, like about how to go. Now, when we don't follow our soul's agenda, sometimes things might be a little harder for us. It might feel like we struggle more. And guess what? Our soul can still experience itself through that too. But we have the choice to experience our soul's divine nature through the joyful experiences too. We don't have to struggle. That is why when we are following our soul's agenda, it helps move us out of struggle, because we don't have to be in struggle to learn from it, to expand our divine nature. We can learn a lot about channeling more of that divine through us. We can learn a lot more about making choices that honor our divinity. But we're moving out of struggle towards solution when we do that. And that's a good thing. Now, there are a lot of challenges that can throw us off. There are disruptions in our life. There's obstacles that we may see along our path of something we want to grow or experience. There may be pain or suffering. But in a major upheaval, we actually have something in our life. All of us have this thing in our life. It's called the danger zone. And I'll just say that the danger zone is right here. Okay, we'll just say it's right there. When we go through a major upheaval of any sort, if we are close to the danger zone, we are more likely to judge something as happening in our life as bad. Well, when we're judging something, that means we're in limitation. And if we're in limitation, that means we're in fear. And if we're in fear, that means we've stopped believing that God is a part of us. And we're thinking, oh, God's someplace way out there, right? I'm here. I'm on my own. I am all alone, my little human mind, and I cannot figure out how to get out of this danger zone. So I'm just going to be afraid and in limitation. So I'm just going to judge all of these things that are going on around me. I'm going to judge them because they are bad, because I'm afraid and I don't know what to do. This is getting into the danger zone. But we can only go into the danger zone when we've stopped understanding and living by that first unity principle, that God is all things. If God is everywhere, present in all things, we of course know God's present within us because we are an emanation of God. But that also means that God is present in every circumstance and event in our life, which means when we remember this, the potential for divine activity can come forth in all of those situations. But if we're in the danger zone, we're not going to think to call forth the divine activity. That's why right now is the perfect time to be on this planet. Because this time is perfect, because we are here right now. Each of these opportunities, okay, well, not everybody wants to call them opportunities. Each of these obstacles provides an opportunity for us to experience the divine in motion. The obstacles are there, whether we decide that or not. They're there. So if we just decide, okay, you know what, this is an opportunity, I'm just going to go with it. Let's see how the divine in motion comes through this obstacle. Okay, they're already there. Us not wanting to do this process doesn't make all the obstacles go away. Okay, the obstacles are there. So we can see the divine in motion from them, through them, okay, even in those challenges. In our health issues, our relationship issues, our financial issues. Okay, we can call forth the activity of spirit through that. We just have to remember that we are part of God. That God is working through us, for us, as us. Remember, your soul knows the way. My soul knows the way. Our souls know the way. That's comforting. Our souls know the way. I want you to just put your hand on your heart for a minute. Okay, just think about that. My soul knows the way. My soul knows the way. I don't face this obstacle alone. My soul knows the way. My soul knows the way. Now, luckily, in this book, Neale Donald Walsch talks about some tools that are already in our spiritual toolkit. We already have tools that can help us when we are down here in the danger zone. Okay, we're judging, we're in lack, limitation, and fear, forgetting that all is God and we are part of that. Okay, they are tools. I'm just going to talk quickly about 4 of them. The first tool is gratitude. Now, I know everybody here knows about the power of gratitude, right? There are wonderful books written on it. I could make a whole talk on gratitude, but I'm just going to mention that with gratitude, the Apostle Paul had said, in all things give thanks. And he didn't say for all things give thanks, because really, there are some things, it's like, how do you give thanks for that, right? Okay, but we can give thanks in every situation. Gratitude then helps us to change our mind about things. Gratitude actually helps us to expand our mind. Okay, finding things to be gratitude. Neale Donald Walsch mentions some prayers. And one of the prayers, like when you're having trouble finding gratitude, is, thank you, God, for giving me another chance to change my story about health, or to heal my thoughts about being a victim, or to release my fears about putting myself out there, doing a thing I love. Thank you, God, for another opportunity to give it a try again, to give it a go one more time. See, in our life, there is always something to be grateful for, and when we find a thing to be grateful for, we get to start expressing the next brightest version of ourselves. Okay, that's what gratitude does for us. I also like this one. Thank you, God, for helping me to understand that this problem has already been solved for me. This is a divine truth. Because when we remember that we are part of the all, that we are an emanation of God walking around in a body, all we have to do is just face that, just reach it, just reach for it. By remembering it, that's how we reach for it. We remember it. I'm like, God, send me the solution. Send me the solution. Let's go. I'm ready. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I do know there's that within me. It knows how. It knows what to do and how to do it, and it compels me to act on what it knows. Thank you, God, for the perfection of this outcome. Thank you, God, for the perfection of this outcome. We may not see it yet, but if it's been planted in divine mind, it's making its way here into physical reality. We were all once just an idea in the mind of God. This church was once just an idea in the mind of God, right? So our solution, in the moment, it may just still be an idea in the mind of God, but then it's making its way. Thanks. Thank you, thank you, thank you, gives it the power to come into our life. Okay, this next tool is called reframing our story. Neale Donald Walsch actually called this recontextualization. But I just didn't want to have to say that over and over again. Actually, I didn't even want to have to say it that time, so. But what he says is that 98% of the people on our planet right now are spending 98% of their time doing things that don't matter. Now, we remember that when our mind thinks differently about something, that determines how we experience that something. So right now, in our lives, we may think we are spending 98% of our time on things that don't matter. And the things that don't matter in our life, we may look at them like this. Well, I have to pay my electric bill. I hate having to do that. I hate having to deal with finances. I have to go in the backyard and pick up after the dog. Man, I hate doing that. It's hot and stinky. I don't like doing that. Okay, so reframing our story, what that does is like, okay, first of all, we're reminded, all right, God is all things. God is all things. I am an emanation of that. How is what I'm doing right now serving my soul's agenda? How am I expressing the brightest version of myself? How am I allowing divine activity to work through me into this situation? Okay, well, paying the electric bill. Every one of us today probably are going to go home and be so grateful for the air conditioning in our home. It's an electric bill, it's electricity that allows us to do that. Right? I will get to go home today. I'll have a cold house. I'll have my cold kombucha in the fridge because we have electricity. That's how we reframe. We give thanks for that, right? I shouldn't be complaining about paying an electric bill. I should be thankful I have an electric bill to pay because that means I have all that stuff that runs on electricity in my home. Cleaning up after the dog. Okay, this dog, this golden retriever, he is like, I love him so much. Like, he's my daughter's dog, but I love him so much. When I go into the yard to clean up after this dog, what I realize is that he lives in my house. He lives in my house. I get to have this dog in my house right now. I don't know how much longer that'll be. Well, she'll move and take her dog. But right now, that stuff of his I'm picking up in the yard is evidence that something I love so much lives there. That is how we reframe. Because our sole purpose is something we do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Right? It's not something we just do like, okay, in the morning after I meditate. We do it all day long. So how do we reframe things that happened that we really didn't like, that were really bad in our lives? Okay, I've been laid off from 2 jobs in my life. One because it was just downsized. It was a big mortgage company. The other because I was a massage therapist and I don't know, it was just kind of weird. But when we get laid off, that feels bad. Okay, that feels bad. And when it first happened, and I understand that when it happened to me, in both times it was actually an issue of finances. It can be expensive to have a bunch of employees in a mortgage company, especially when you can streamline things. It can be expensive to have an office full of massage therapists, right, that you have to give a cut. Right? They want a bigger cut because they're good, okay? Now, when it first happened, it was hard to reframe, but then I did this. Oh, you know what? Like with my first job. It's like, I never would have left that job. I would have stayed there forever. That means I wouldn't have met my midwife and had my 2 babies at home. I wouldn't be here right now. I would not be here right now. Right? So we reframe. Okay, but what about other things? Like, what if somebody we love dies? How do we reframe that? Now, I know what I've heard from people and like my own experience with my aunt dying a few years ago. One way that we often do this is, well, at least they're not suffering anymore. But that's not really a good enough reframe. Okay, it still feels bad, right? Like when my dog, Buffy, when she died a few weeks back, it still did, okay, fine, she wasn't suffering anymore, but I miss my dog. Okay, so I learned something when my aunt died. That when somebody dies, there are certain things you do, like you have to call up like their cable and electric and stuff and have all that stuff turned off, right? And so I learned how awkward people can be, but in a funny, sweet, endearing way. Because I would call up like her cable. Hi, my name is Deanna, and I need to arrange to have the, oh, hi Deanna, how are you today? It's like, oh, I'm just fine. I need to get the cable turned off for my Aunt Linda Woods. She recently passed away. Okay, great. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Like, yeah, okay, thank you so much. I'm so sorry for your loss. Yeah, that's great, thank you. Get it all taken care of. All right, Deanna, is there anything else I can do for you today? No, this is good. All right, you have a wonderful day. I mean, you hang in there. Right? Those are like real conversations. And I got off the phone and I was like, oh my God, people are so amazing and sweet. They are so sweet. And so this was a story I could tell myself around that. People can just be so sweet, even when it's really awkward for them and they don't know what to say, they still just want to be sweet. Okay, so there's another reframe. So what's going on right now, and how is what I'm doing right now serving my soul's agenda? Okay, the next tool. You guys are going to hate this one. You either love this one or you hate this one. Meditation. Meditation. Now everybody knows how to meditate. I know it. You know the thing about meditation. I'm just going to give you some science, okay? We have a right prefrontal cortex. We have a left prefrontal cortex. In the right is where the seat of depression and our hard moods are. Okay, the sadness, the foul moods, the saltiness. On the left is the seat of peace, ease, bliss, happiness, love. All the good feelings are on the left. Without meditation, we tend to come more from the right prefrontal cortex. Neuroscience has shown that with regular practice of meditation, our activity shifts over to the left. So we become more and more likely, the longer our practice goes on, we are more and more likely to automatically come from the left, the seat of peace, ease, bliss, and happiness. There was an experiment. People were pulled off the street just randomly, didn't care about meditation one way or the other. In 8 to 10 weeks at meditating 10 to 15 minutes a day, they all reported a positive change in their mood and how they responded to their normal trigger events. Okay, anybody here ever feel triggered by things? Okay, so what happens is we actually have it's called a cue response behavior that precedes being triggered by something. All right? We have a cue response behavior, and it's already in there. Meditation helps to break that. So the thing that normally triggers us with a practice of meditation, it creates a pause. So we have a moment, we don't get triggered, and we can choose a response instead of just reacting. Okay, so there's another positive thing. Meditation creates more emotional stability and it reduces heightened sensitivity. Have you ever heard of the highly sensitive person? I used to think being a highly sensitive person was, I'm just so sensitive, I can just sense everything in a room. And that's what I thought it was, right? Highly sensitive person is this, right? Why is that so loud? Why does the dog have to keep licking his rear? Okay, that's a highly sensitive person. It's like everything's a trigger in the environment, right? Everything is a trigger in the environment. Meditation helps to calm that down, calm it down. Meditation also, okay, raise your hand if you love the 4 agreements. Okay. Meditation also helps us to naturally be in alignment with the 4 agreements because of the pause that it creates. We can more easily be impeccable with our word, not take things personally. We don't make assumptions. We just always do our best. Meditation helps us to do that, right? Because it's calming our system before we act. Helps the fluctuation of moods and emotions. Now, remember I said we have a danger zone. Okay, right here's a danger zone. When we are not utilizing these tools, when we're not being triggered, we're here. Okay, we're right there. But if we're easily triggered, boing, right into the danger zone, right? Where we start judging and feeling limited and afraid and believing God's way out there. We're not an emanation of God, is what we'll believe. Meditation offers some padding, smooths the edges. With the regular practice of meditation, we're up in here somewhere. So even if we get triggered, we don't automatically end up in the danger zone. We get triggered, we're like, oh, I was just triggered. We come back up again. That's what meditation does for us. Now, I know the other thing is that we have a million excuses why we can't meditate. I don't have enough time. I have a monkey mind. I have pets. So I'm going to tell you, first of all, if you just start with a minute a day, even if your mind is going the whole time, is this minute over yet? Should I count? Maybe I should count to 60? Okay, even if you're doing that, okay, what I recommend, put your hand on your heart. Okay, just go back to the heart, just go back to the heart. It's interesting, you can feel yourself breathing if you want to. You can actually feel like the breath is going in and out of the heart. You can feel that. So it doesn't matter if you have monkey mind. It's okay if you have monkey mind. It's the act of sitting there for just 1 minute, which you can turn into 2 minutes. Okay, my Monday through Friday practice is 20 minutes. My Saturday, Sunday practice is 10 minutes. This morning, my 10-minute meditation had a chihuahua that kept jumping in my lap and jumping down and jumping back up, and a golden retriever who would have to hit my hand, okay? Or he would have to start nosing the chihuahua. This is all taking place in my lap. And I'm just like, okay, for 10 minutes. Now, what happens is that even if we feel like our meditation was all chaotic, it's still cumulative. It still gets added into our bank as if we had a perfect 1 minute of meditation. Okay, so chatter is not an excuse. Time is not an excuse. Dogs, cats, not an excuse. 1 minute. Start with 1 minute. I think we'll have a meditation challenge on social media this week. I think we're just going to do that. We're going to do that. Okay, now, here's the last of the 4 tools. And if people think meditation's hard, boy, they love this one too. Forgiveness. Okay, forgiveness is the last of these tools. But I want to tell you, forgiveness is actually an advanced spiritual tool. It's advanced. It's not a trite, all right, I'll just forgive you. It's not a trite little thing that we just say. It's advanced because to forgive, to truly forgive, we have to first of all remember God is all things. I also am an emanation of spirit. And I remember 98% of people are spending 98% of the time on things that don't matter, which means they're often in the danger zone down here. They're often getting triggered, and they're down here in this danger zone. They are still light in a body. They're still the activity of spirit in a body, but they don't remember. They just don't remember it. Okay, forgiveness is not saying, it's okay this bad thing was done. If somebody committed a crime, they should go to jail. If there's somebody in your life that is making you miserable, it may be that you have to get them out of your life. Put a little fence up. Okay? Don't come by unless you call first, so I can make sure I'm gone. She loves cell phones, right? Oh, I'm actually not home right now. Okay? That's forgiveness. Forgiveness is a letting go, because what happens is when we remember God is all things, forgiveness turns into understanding. And remember, understanding is being able to ask for guidance, perceive the divine activity in our environment, receive the direction from Spirit, comprehend it, put it all together, and then act on it. Okay, this is why forgiveness is an advanced tool. Okay, because it can really only happen in the mind of somebody who sees God as everywhere present and God in every single person, even the person who did the thing to them that harmed them or hurt them. Okay, so those are the 4 tools. Now, without these practices, what happens is we try to manipulate our environment out here. I'm going to change this and this so then I can be happy, right? That's what happens without those tools. But if we're trying to manipulate things out here, what happens is we hit a breaking point in our life. We hit a point in our life where we can no longer sustain the way that we're living. We're like, how am I supposed to keep doing this? We hit a breaking point. But when we utilize these 4 tools, the beginning tools in our toolbox that we already have right here and now, okay, the gratitude, the reframing our story, the meditation, the forgiveness, this helps us to change what's in here instead of what's out here. Instead of having a breaking point, we have a breakthrough. Okay, we have a breakthrough point with these tools. These are the tools of the spiritual masters. Okay, these 4 basic tools, Jesus talked about them, Buddha talked about them, Lao Tzu talked about them. And there are more, so many more. These spiritual masters utilize these 4 tools. Now, Jesus had said that if we want to be in the kingdom of heaven, to enter the kingdom of heaven, we have to be as little children. Because the kingdom of heaven is the state of our heart. It is the state of our heart and how we're creating heaven on earth in our own lives. Children practice these 4 spiritual tools all the time. Really young kids. I'm saying really young kids. Okay? They practice gratitude. Right? You can buy your child or grandchild like some sparkly, glittery shoelaces, and they're like, oh, shoelaces, thank you. Right? They get really excited about that. Children reframe stories all the time. Okay, my kids, when they were really little, my daughter had My Little Ponies, my son had Bionicles, and they would play together in like one in harmony, right? And I remember a story where one of the ponies' houses burned down. And the story was, oh, the house burned down. Oh no, well, we'll go camping then. We'll go with the Bionicles and we'll go camping. Right? They reframe things all the time. Meditation, children are naturally like here in the now. That's why they can be drawing on the wall and you walk in and they don't even know you're there yet, right? And they're just like, oh yeah. Because they are so in the moment. And forgiveness, right? A kid can take another child's toy and they get mad, but then it's like, oh, it's okay, and they forget. Like, I can remember my son taking a toy from my daughter taking it back, but then my son would be sad, so she'd just give him back the toy. This is something children, again, when they're very young, they naturally do this. See, all of us here, on a soul level, we are larger than we think. And all of our problems are smaller in relationship to us than what we can imagine. All of our problems are. Right now, you possess a divine power that is bigger than any problem that you could imagine. Love is bigger than anything in its way. God is bigger than anything in its way. That is what you have working through you right now. You're a blessing. You have already done more good in your life, in this world, than you can even remember. And that's how we're creating heaven on earth. So until next time, remember, you are the activity of spirit in a body. You are the heart and hands of spirit in this world. You are a soul designed for growth and goodness in everything you do. You are blessed, and so it is. Thank you very much. Thank you.